For some reason, we are all expected from a relatively early age to be able to cook the perfect steak without even having any tuition, no training. That's not really fair in my book. So today, I'm going to show you how to get perfect results by cooking a perfect steak. So really, the first thing we need is a decent piece of steak to start off with. If you put a dodgy old piece of beef into the pan, no matter how perfectly you cook it, all you're going to get back is a dodgy piece of steak. Right, so here we go. I'm using a sirloin steak today. You could be using fillets, you could be using rump steaks, but the sirloin just does it for me. Please remember, a little bit of marbling going in throughout the steak itself. Trust your butcher, tell your butcher what you need, and a nice bit of fat coating on the outside. Don't be put off by the word fat. Fat really does equal flavour, and you've got to have it. You've just got to have a nice layer of fat on the outside of your sirloin steak. Now then, a little bit of seasoning, some ground sea salt. You'll notice I'm using a red cutting board, raw meat, red board. Observe the laws. I'm going to brush it with a little bit of oil on both sides. Push it together. Sirloin steak is now ready to hit the pan. But before we do that, one last thing we've got to check is the pan is good and hot. If I was to put this sirloin steak into a pan that wasn't quite hot enough, all that would happen is this juices would seep out the steak into the pan and it'll just boil and simmer away. It become tough and pretty unedible. This way, good hot pan. If there's a little haze coming off it, I've got a light heat haze coming off the pan now, we know it's just about there, okay? In it goes. It's also important to remember now at this stage that this steak, or chicken, to come to mention of it, or pork stick, whatever you're going to pan fry or grill, is singing back to you immediately. It's telling you, yeah, we're hot, we're cooking, we're grilling here. Otherwise you get back to that same situation where the steak just sits there and seeps in its own juices, and you don't want that. So a good sizzling steak is a good way to start. Give the steak now about a minute sizzling on this one side, and we'll turn it over. Okay, that's good, that's looking nice. Slightly press it down a little bit. What's going to happen now, you see, we're sizzling on the other side. Now, as I turn the steak, all the juices are getting more and more active inside the steak. So just turned it over, the juices are now falling down the other way. To keep the center of the steak nice and moist, the juices have to be both sides of the steak. So we're going to leave the steak now sizzling nicely for another minute on this side, that'll be a minute on both sides, before we start really considering to what degree of cooking we want, whether it's going to be rare, medium, or heaven forbid, even well done. And by the way, if you want to earn the respect of any restaurateur that you go to, don't order a well-done steak, because they will not respect you. Okay, now so we've had a minute now on both sides, sizzling away happily. There's not a big smoke screen, everything is under control here, looking good. But now we get to the quandary on what on earth is it like on the inside, okay? So one big tip, I guess, really, the best one I know of is, apart from experience makes perfect, or practice makes perfect, is that do the old thumb test, right? Now by applying your forefinger to your thumb and test this fleshy bit here, down by your thumb, rare, okay? That's going to be a nice rare texture. And analyze it, test it. Oops, yeah, we're getting pretty rare here, you know? If you move your fingers across your hand onto your thumb, the nearer you get to your little finger, the tighter, the more resilient, the more resistance that this fleshy part of the thumb has, i.e. the more cooked it becomes, the more resistance this has, okay? So, applying that into practice, forefinger to your thumb, nice, soft and fleshy, and what we have here is nice, soft and fleshy. So we're going to steak to rare. The next thing is now taking it onto medium rare. I'm going to take it to medium so you can see exactly where we are. Now all the way through the cooking process, please remember to keep doing this test because it can catch you out, you can cook quite quickly. So again, we've gone past we're well past the rare stage now, okay? We're probably just about at medium rare now. And this test really does work, okay? There's a very, very similar experience going on here with the resistance of this and the resistance of the steak. We're doing well. We're going to go one more stage further, which is medium. So I'm going to turn the steak one more time on the other side, okay? Now this fat I mentioned earlier, that's getting nice and caramelly now. That's the natural sugars of the fat coming up and getting caramelized. That's a good thing. You know, bland, boring, white-looking fat isn't very tasty, but this is going to be tasty. Right then, money where my mouth is. I would say now this is now medium, just by going on this test. The resistance is just about identical, so here we go. So, I've got a little whiteboard down here now. Put it there, got a nice knife. And all I need to do now is lift out my steak, my medium steak, because it probably is the most popular, people have it cooked. Okay. Okay, now the steak is out. It's as money where your mouth is time. I am convinced that it's a medium steak without looking inside it. You will be too. But one last thing we must do, or allow ourselves to do, is allow the steak time to rest. Resting a steak? Yeah, because while it's cooking, it's very busy. All the juices are busy inside, bubbling away all over the place. Now, if I was to carve into the steak now, all those busy juices will come oozing out onto the chopping board, which is not where we want all these juices. We want them to stay locked inside the steak so it stays nice and moist. And the way you achieve that is by allowing time, only a minute, for the steak to rest. And the same applies to roasting joints, any joint, whatever you cook. On the larger side, red meat side, allow time to rest and those juices will stay nice inside where it belongs. Okay, nicely grilled sirloin steak, cooked to medium. Let's just see. Take my good sharp knife, right down the middle, nice thick part of the steak. Left to the one side. And there you have it. A beautiful, moist, juicy, medium cooked sirloin steak.